Hey everyone. Today, we're going to talk about water damage. And listen, this isn't about mops and buckets. We're talking about the real science behind making a home safe and truly dry after a flood. So let's dive right in. You know the sound, right? That little drip, drip, drip from a leaky faucet? Or maybe you've spotted that brownish stain on the ceiling. It feels like no big deal, right? Something you can just put a bucket under and deal with later. But what happens when that little drip isn't a drip anymore? What if it's a pipe that bursts and suddenly you've got water gushing everywhere? Or a huge storm pushes flood water right into your living room. All of a sudden, it's not just water anymore. It's a full-blown crisis, and it's threatening the place you live.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the damage, you've got to understand the environment it's happening in. Because believe it or not, where the water hits can be just as important as how much water you're dealing with. So why is that? Why can a leak in one house be a minor inconvenience, but in another, it's a total disaster? Well, the answer is this perfect storm of geography, climate, and even how the house was built. Let's look at a real-world example, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, let's zoom in on a place like Kingwood, Texas. First off, it's in a watershed, so water is always nearby. The ground there, it's this heavy clay soil that literally swells up like a sponge when it gets wet, which puts incredible pressure on a home's foundation. On top of that, the humidity is often over 80%. So when you get a leak, the heat doesn't just dry things out. It can actually push that moisture deeper into the walls, and that creates a ticking time bomb. And that right there, that's maybe the most important thing to understand in all of this. The biggest threat, the most serious damage, it's almost always the part you can't even see. Look, that puddle you see on the floor, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Water is sneaky. It'll climb up inside your drywall, it'll soak into the insulation, and it'll get trapped in all those little spaces inside your walls. And that's where it turns into a perfect breeding ground for some really nasty stuff. And you have to know that not all water is created equal. The pros have a system. They break it down into 3 categories. Category 1, that's clean water, like from a broken water supply line. Low danger. Category 2 is gray water. Think washing machine overflow. It's got some contaminants, so the risk is medium. But then there's Category 3, black water. This is the bad stuff. Sewage, floodwater, it's packed with pathogens and is a serious biohazard. And depending on which category you're dealing with, the whole cleanup process changes dramatically. And this number, 48. What's so special about 48? Well, that's how many hours you have in a damp, humid space. That's all it takes for mold to start growing. Just 2 days. That's your window.
So if you can't see the problem, how do you find it? You've got to become a bit of a detective. Start using your other senses. You smell that musty, earthy odor? That's a huge red flag. See paint peeling or bubbling, or your floor starting to warp or buckle? These are all distress signals. It's your house screaming for help, telling you there's still water trapped inside.
And this is exactly why, for any real water damage, the professional response goes way beyond just cleaning up. It's not about mops, it's about science. It's a really methodical approach designed specifically to fight those invisible threats.
So who sets the standards for all this? There's an organization called the IICRC. Basically, they're the ones who wrote the science-based rulebook for the entire restoration industry. Their standards are what ensures a home isn't just looking dry on the surface, but is actually measurably and verifiably safe all the way through.
And here's the absolute game changer. Professionals don't just remove the water you see, they manipulate the entire environment. They control the temperature, the humidity, the airflow. They create a set of conditions that forces that hidden moisture to come out of the wood, out of the drywall, out of everything. And there's a name for this science. It's called psychrometrics. It's basically the science of drying. It's a set of principles that lets technicians calculate the perfect balance of temperature, humidity, and airflow to get things dry as efficiently as possible. It's literally physics and engineering being put to work in your living room.
Okay, so what does this all look like when the pros actually show up at your door? Well, it's a pretty clear step-by-step process.
Broadly speaking, here's the timeline. The first few hours are all about emergency response, stopping the damage. Then you've got about 3 to 5 days for the really intense structural drying phase. And only after that, you're looking at maybe 1 to 2 weeks for reconstruction, all depending on how bad things got. So let's walk through those 3 phases. Phase 1 is emergency triage. You stop the source of the water, get all the standing water out, and pull out anything that's too damaged to save. Phase 2 is the science part we've been talking about. The big guns come out, industrial dehumidifiers and air movers to literally pull that trapped moisture out of the building materials. And only then, when everything is proven to be dry, do you get to Phase 3, putting it all back together, the reconstruction.
So when you put it all together, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. When you're dealing with serious water damage, the gap between a DIY cleanup and a professional scientific restoration isn't just big, it's everything. Think about it like this. You could try to do it yourself with some fans and a shop vac, but you're only ever going to dry the surface. You're leaving yourself wide open to hidden mold down the road. The professional approach, they're using industrial strength gear to get documented, measurable dryness. They're preventing mold, and this is huge, they're creating all the paperwork your insurance company is going to need to process your claim. It's really a night and day difference. And hey, this isn't just about fixing the immediate problem. There are real legal and financial reasons this matters. In a place like Texas, for example, the law says you have to tell future buyers or renters about any past water damage or mold issues. So having that official professional documentation, all the moisture readings, the certificates of completion, it doesn't just fix your house, it protects you legally and financially for years to come. So I'll leave you with this question. After a flood, after the equipment is gone and everything looks dry, how do you really know for sure? How do you know the inside of your walls are safe? The answer isn't something you can see with your eyes. It's in the science and in the numbers that prove it's truly dry.